Let me do a curious slight backstory here, because when I was writing my first book about Trump, Fire and Fury, I was in the White House for about 7 months. I had a kind of carte blanche, was watching everything, this show unfold literally before my eyes. Sometimes I would just sit on the couch in the West Wing waiting to see someone for the next appointment. And at one point, seeing this, trying to absorb all this, I texted my wife, and I said, "Do you think it's unusual that every woman that I see here has long hair worn down, skirts above the knee," and this was in the winter, and high boots?
It's the uniform.
I mean, literally every single one. And most of these were young women, but there was Kellyanne Conway looking the same, just significantly older. And yes, my wife confirmed that this would be highly unusual for every woman in office to be dressed like this.
And I would add that they're all surprisingly attractive. I mean, it's very unusual to walk into any political office and find the women, and perhaps I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but they look like models. They look like beauty contestants. Well, some of them are very smart.
And certainly many have been models. One of in the first administration, the pivotal, the kind of head girl, was Hope Hicks, who actually had been a model and then had been in the PR business. And there's always this connection he makes between being good looking and being in the PR business, because then you're a face, you're front looking. And
she had been working for Ivanka in Ivanka's fashion business, yes, as a PR.
Yes. And then was taken into politics, she had no other qualifications except that she looked the part. She didn't know anything about politics. She had never worked in politics, had never worked in government.
I remember talking to Hope Hicks, because when she came out of the White House, and we can go into why, but she did the rounds looking for a job, and she came in to talk to us. And at the time, I think I was chief content officer of Hearst magazines, and I was struck by how incredibly attractive she was. She was playing with her hair the whole time, but she also seemed very nice, and she described her life attending to Donald Trump. She had to be in the White House at 5 a.m. every morning, and she said she woke up at 3 a.m. every day. She went to bed at 8 p.m. It sounded like a very lonely life, but because she'd been an athlete, I think she was a hockey player actually, she said she was used to getting up early to get on the ice, and that she would be in the office by 5 a.m., but she got up every day at 3 a.m. It seemed like a very weirdly monastic life.
Well, I think most people around, I mean, it's hard to work for Donald Trump. I mean, he is very demanding of people's time. And that's really is. I own your time. You have to be here, and you have to be at my beck and call. That's essentially the job of all of the women, and to some extent the men, but specifically all of the women anticipate his needs. So they become this, it's hard. It's not just a support system. It's a kind of comfort blanket. I mean, there's a view, certainly within many of the people in the White House who have spent many years now speculating on this, that he is, and this is the term they use, post-sexual.
Right.
But
so he's gone from the days when he would call up the New York Post and say, Marla Maples says, I'm the best sex she's ever had.
Yes, exactly.
Right. He's now post-sex.
Right. And, because the people around him have wondered about this, and they've worried about this, and what's he doing and with whom. And then they kind of have come to this understanding that he's not really doing anything. But one of the things he is doing is populating his world with women who he, I suppose, in another life or at another stage of life might have been involved with. I mean, they look like Melania, in fact. And so they're a kind of, I mean, a kind of, sexual surrogacy in its own peculiar fashion.
Well, and again, it's performance. So it looks like he's an older man who can attract these much younger, very good looking, very well put together women, which signals something to his base, his audience.
Yeah. Two stories. I mean, during his criminal trial in New York,
the Stormy Daniels
trial. The first thing, there were several women from the first administration who testified. Hope Hicks, a woman by the name of Madeline Westerhout, who had been his, I guess, really sort of personal assistant, kind of secretary-ish, until one night she got drunk and started to gossip about the family, about the Trump family, and then was immediately fired. So those two women testified, and then the other women were sitting in the courtroom next to him. Natalie Harp, Margot Martin, Alina Habba, and very, very present and very unusual to see all of these women all dressed the same. And after the trial, I spoke to one of the members of the jury, and the jury that convicted him, by the way, on all counts. And so I was sort of going over what this juror saw, felt, what the reaction of what he could tell me about the entire jury. And among the things that he singled out, he said we were all creeped out by the women around him.
They were creeped out by them. Meaning what?
Meaning, the first thing, this was a trial essentially about a sexual issue, offense, circumstance. And here were all of these women who obviously suggested some kind of near fetishistic interest. So they felt that, I mean, he felt that this became one of the influences on this jury. Obviously, it supported the entire idea that this was,
well, yet another of Donald Trump's sort of expressions out there. All right, so the first one is the jury were creeped out by the fact that Trump was surrounded by women, all of whom looked the same.
Yes, and then there's when he was during his legal mess that was unfolding during the campaign, and he put together a legal team. I mean, a really third-rate legal team, and he would admit this. I knew at least to two people I know that he told this story. He said, "Yeah, I may not have the greatest lawyers in the world," but then he would take out his phone and show a picture of several of the women on the team, and he said, "But I have the hottest lawyers."
This podcast was produced by Devon Rogerino, Anna von Ursen, and it was edited by Jesse Millward.